Between the Yanshan and Taihang Mountains lies an ancient capital. The essential spatial pattern of this city is defined by a central axis running south to north. Despite the passing of many centuries, despite all the ups and downs of history, despite the rise and fall of dynasties, despite the repeated change of night and day, the Axis has remained the eternal spine of this city, the embodiment of its spirit.
中轴线它是一个独特的中国的文化传统，一个中国文明的非常独特的见证。这就是我们讲中华文明不断的传承、弘扬、发展的一个过程，它是连续的，啊，它是多元一体的。
750 years ago, the founding of the Yuan dynasty opened a new era of communication between China and Europe. Instead of Chang'an, Westerners traveling to China began heading for a new capital, bringing with them their own cultures. Beijing's Central Axis has witnessed how, over the centuries, China and the rest of the world have embraced each other, and how the unified and diverse reality this brought to the city has given rise to its unique vitality. Beijing is an ancient city with a history of over 800 years. Despite its great age, it retains remarkable vigor, the secret to which is the harmonious integration that has taken place along its central axis. Tom is from the Netherlands. He has worked for several multinational organizations, including UNESCO, the UNDP, and UN Habitat. He is currently living with his wife in Zhonggu Hutong, an alley next to Jingshan Hill.
And we liked it so much because it was a mixed population, everybody was here. My wife is from Anhui, there were Anhui people, there were people from other provinces, everybody lived here together. Rich people, poor people, everybody lived in the Hutongs.
Tom has been living in Beijing for 17 years.
一笼包子，一笼包子，两个油条，两个油条。谢谢，谢谢。
The Hutong has been Tom's home for many years. He's a popular figure in the neighborhood.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Well, bye-bye.
今天有包子、油条，还有烤馒头片，炫你的最爱啊，腐乳。
Tom's two sons were both born in Beijing.
20 years ago, I remember 在宾馆住早餐，爸爸回来跟我说：“哇塞，竟然他们煮了粥，还有咸菜，太可怕了，根本没法吃。现在完全没有问题了，对吧？爸爸已经变成中国的味了。
粥里没咸菜他不吃。
对啊。
Yeah, no problem. I came through the Hutong. I saw our neighbor was asking me, do you have some time to come? He redecorated his house and things like that, so I think we have to see.
Sure.
哎，唐大姐，哎呀，你们家这真好，这。
Miss Tang is one of their neighbors. A true Beijinger, her family have lived in Zhonggu Hutong for generations.
你们刚开始来的时候，我们感觉特别陌生，
又是一个外地，又是外国的，
对住进来以后还觉得和街坊四邻
还挺和谐的，
挺和谐的。
一晃17年。
Miss Tang lives in a beautifully renovated Sehe Yuan courtyard house.
您这个装的这个2层我特别喜欢。
四合院的老房子具备了高的这个条件，就4米多高嘛。
Completely.
Keep it open at the front because then you have also the spacious element of the whole house.
可以，你完全可以，no problem。
看看您这2层是怎么？
木楼梯。
哇， 榻榻米，
对，
哎呀
就铺到这个榻榻米垫儿，他
哎呀
们回来会
真好
睡在这儿，就是
See, they have a screen,
看
watch
看电视
movie，看电影。
对，
哇，我
其实
太喜欢这儿了。
Beautiful.
是我们那没你这个高
你可以矮一
Yeah,
点。
but I'm tall.
，but still, this is
Okay,
Here,
no problem.
and
For
here
me, it's problem.
you sit and look.
对
Just enough.
对。
The visit to the neighbour's house reminds Wen Jun of a problem that's been bothering her for many years.
Look at the floor. It's a completely the disaster. I think we have to do something. What do you think?
I agree. We have to do something, but not too much.
But they are not nice. This is so too old. I want it completely changed with the same style, the new tiles, and totally paved.
Okay. Then we break down the whole circular and then we build a new house for you. Okay then?
The couple have argued repeatedly over the renovation of the house.
Because I've traveled many places all over the globe, more or less, and it never happened to me that there was a tradition that from an axis a city was planned. Even many hundred years ago, the Yuan dynasty, a long time ago, and it still is there. When you look at this, axis is not only important in Beijing, but all over the world, axes are not so unique for the historical setup of a city.
Tom's Sehe Yuan often serves as a venue for the community to meet. Today, though, Wen Jun is planning something different. She wants to use the neighbours to convince Tom to agree to having the house renovated.
我们家住这么多年，最大的头疼问题就是反潮，太困扰了。就是每年的这个潮湿，我不知道
装修全都能给你解决。
我就恨不得就是把墙整个给它全敲上这个什么亚克力板子或者什么，做一个这样的一个装修，他就不同意。你看，生气了，生气了，你这个动作。
大的格局不能变，
没变呢，没变。
规矩不能变了，是吧？
是
总的方向变了，就不叫四合院了，对吧？
It's not a big problem. She is from China. She wants Western style. I'm from Western. I want to have Chinese style.
我是。
Tom has neither agreed nor rejected the neighbours' suggestions. His stubbornness is rooted partly in his professional instincts as an urban planner. But another influence comes from his childhood, when he grew up in Kampan, an old city in the Netherlands. His grandfather's home has left a deep impression on him.
He had a very old house with cracking attic and things like that, a little bit dark and things like that. So
Is this nice? This beautiful. How old is this house?
it is, well, it comes from the Middle Ages. So it's maybe 400 years old house. When everybody is removing it and rebuilding it, it's over.
That's correct.
And that's the reason that I really fighting to keep the original state of this Sugiyuar. And say, when people here, you come back. And this area, that is it. But you know, when you notice this line, the Central Axis.
Drum Tower, Bell Tower, Olympic Park, so beautiful. And our house, it's just
Very close.
Meters from the Central Axis. Really wonderful. We're so proud.
Jingshan Hill overlooks the Central Axis. From the summit, it's possible to see all the old buildings lining it.
Heritage is only heritage, but it's also something that continues in future. There's also a sign in Beijing or China to keep Axis in their heart, to preserve it, to restore it, and to give it to future generations.
The Central Axis, as part of their heritage, is cherished by the people of Beijing. It also provides a physical space where cultural diversity can flourish. Gulmina comes from Xinjiang. In 2021, she moved to Beijing to teach at the College of Dance at Minzu University of China. For a new dance production, she is moving from behind the scenes to center stage.
最初接到这个通知的时候是非常的荣幸，因为我没有跳过舞剧，我没有任何经验，导演排练的那个过程跟我们以往在新疆跳的这种民族民间舞的双样它还不一样。
The venue is the Beijing Tianqiao Performing Arts Center. Located at the southern end of the Central Axis, Tianqiao lay on the route to the Temple of Heaven taken by the emperors when they were performing rituals there. Hence the name Tianqiao, Bridge for the Son of Heaven. During the Qing dynasty and the decades following, this was the main entertainment district for Beijing's ordinary residents. The fact that it hosted recreational activities for ordinary people as well as important state ceremonies made Tianqiao unique. The Beijing Tianqiao Performing Arts Center is an impressive new cultural venue. Classic shows from all over the world have been performed here. It will be on this stage that Gulmina will perform in her very first dance drama.
我的第一部舞剧作品，然后用了首演放到天桥艺术中心，它在就是这个地理位置上的这种特殊性，我觉得对我来说真的是一个意义非凡吧。
For hundreds of years, this ancient city has been embracing those who are chasing their dreams. Gulmina's 12-year-old daughter has accompanied her to Beijing.
我给你介绍一下，整个这条路你懂什么？是北京的正中央，中轴线，怎么的？明白了吗？好不好看？好看，特别壮观。你看，我们一会儿到这个街里面可以吃好多好吃的。第一家就从糖葫芦开始。你好，老板。要一个这糯米的。他一天就已经适应了新的小学、新的班级、新的同学。好不好吃糯米？好吃。2。这部戏的舞美大家都看到了，这都是汇集了全国舞剧界的最顶尖的人物，服装也是，包括我们的造型，它就是一个特别温馨的一个3个普通人的一个故事，又有友谊，然后又有爱情，大家在一起非常的开心，真的是体现这种中华民族的这种文化大家庭的一面，我觉得你会感受到那种视觉上的震撼。
那来你自己听这种来对。
刚才就是抓他那个领子的时候，他不是2层领子吗？一下子就弄进去了，然后把它甩折了啊！没事，一进入那个状态就忘了，先把它跳完。行。
The dance drama is the result of the coming together and combination of various cultures. In this sense, it's a reflection of Beijing itself, an ancient city that integrates tradition and modernity. China with the rest of the world.
那么这个也是中国在世界上很独一无二的一个特征。那我们就呈现出了一个所谓人类文明的文化多样性。中国文明的独特性是什么？那么都是通过这样的一些我们说的遗存、物质遗存，让我们可以触碰到的展现在我们的面前。至少是中轴线现在所在的核心区，是吧？甚至包括更大的范围，它的那种首都风貌能够更好地呈现出来。
The hutongs are as old as the city of Beijing itself.
那你怎么上去呢？
我是要上那房顶，然后
放这啊，
仨房顶都能这样。
啊，明年我找您要点香水。
没问题啊，明年4月份啊。
咱这香水。
Xie Xiaoying is a landscape architect whose work has been exhibited at the Venice Biennale. This internationally renowned designer was born and raised in the hutongs of Beijing.
我小的时候哈，印象最深刻的就是大杂院里头那个生活，我特别喜欢。就是这奶奶这洗衣服呢，那儿有聊天啊什么这种邻里关系，就是些小事儿，各种好玩的事儿都在这个胡同里头，就日常生活。但是觉得挺美滋滋的啊！你现在国外找不着邻里关系那么回事儿，你试试去。我在国外待过。这是策划，这是整个这活动哀方的策划。对 ，Hello。
Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you for designing our park.
In the Da Shalen area near Tiananmen, there's a hutong that dates from the Yuan dynasty. It's 496 meters long and is called Yangmeiju Alleyway. Cai Sefang is a porcelain handicrafts company located in the alley. Xie Xiaoying is preparing for an online meeting with some people in Ethiopia.
我看他坐在那里正准备呢，穿的还真漂亮。
In faraway Addis Ababa, capital of Ethiopia, a group of people have gathered in Friendship Square. They have come for a transnational online meeting with some residents of Beijing's hutongs.
他们觉得我们这个想法呢，在全世界，尤其是这种发展中国家，特别有借鉴意义。人和人之间就是因为媒介，增进他们之间的交流。一会儿您能跟他们打招呼。
太棒了。
When Xie Xiaoying visited Yangmeiju Alleyway 10 years ago, she failed to find any traces of her childhood.
在12年我来的时候，这个街上的破败的这种状态、这种景象，像是被遗忘的角落，这是很震惊的。
The situation is the same in many of the hutongs along the Central Axis. How old alleys and neighborhoods should be restored is a hotly debated topic worldwide.
因为这个区域呢，它已经有几百年的这个历史了，能让我们胡同焕发更多这种生机，这就是一个非常有意思的事情。
居住和商业混杂的一条街，它又有不同时期的这个历史的故事在这儿发生。
这条街其实不光是要设计，它更多的是要充分的倾听政府和住在这儿的原住民老百姓的意见。
The renovation of Yangmeiju Alleyway has been going on for 10 years. It's a process of continuous exploration.
我们呢也参考了国际上的很多案例，包括巴黎的呀、伦敦的呀。杨梅竹斜街呢，改造理念是就保持原来本有的传统历史风貌。我们是希望就把杨梅竹斜街作为一个新老共生的一个街区。这个地区一定是北京窗口地区的一张金名片，它代表了最北京最传统的历史文化。特别契合去打造文化中心和国际交往中心。
当时我们提出一定要保留两侧这种胡同的这种普通人的生活，它这个中轴才有存在的意义。
The preservation of history and culture is a key element in urban development. Yangmeiju Alleyway, with its combination of inheritance and modernity, has become a model for the renovation of old neighborhoods across Beijing.
我思考的是怎么让遗留下的轴线和当代的生活的融合，以前的这个元素和新北京的元素它融合在一起，形成了今天的北京，它不是停留在过去。
Our past shapes who we are today, even if it does not define us. It is about knowing our roots, our heritage. What makes us, us. And only by looking back can we understand where our future may lie.
Hutong's appearance has improved, but Xie Xiaoying still wants to recreate the communal atmosphere of the past.
在我们刚接手这个项目，这条街上的关系是不和谐的，因为就有一些人搬进搬出，还有一些北漂，这地方租金便宜，暂时在这儿住，它不像以前在这相对稳定。
On the Yangmeiju alleyway, the oldest house belongs to Wang Shouren's family.
我们这个纪言堂狗皮膏药铺始建于明朝万历年间，我的祖上从浙江绍兴来到京城。
The 21 generations of the Wang family who have lived in the alley have witnessed its numerous transformations.
因为我们住的附近都是外来人口，互相都不了解，所以我们都不说话。有时候从胡同过都蹭着过，就非常尴尬。
我们想把这个环境改善了，就想做一些公共空间嘛，加一些花池啊什么的。但是我们做的时候呢，做什么大家呢意见都不统一。调研过程中发现，只有 种植这件事能让所有人都感兴趣，达到共识。
Growing plants and vegetables is a popular hobby among Hutong residents. Xie Xiaoying decided to shift the focus of her project to guiding residents to create their own living environment.
这咱自己种的，对啊，没化肥。就是今年遗憾的没打籽儿，没关系，那咱明年我们再给你找籽儿来，好吧？ 你再试试种。对。
老郑，给你几个小辣椒。
哟，真好，真好，真好。
切成丝儿，然后爆炒。
这您喜欢吧？
喜欢喜欢。
到时候您那儿种的比我这儿好。
这么大个儿，
好几个人都盯上了。
这个绿色花草带来了生活的情趣，这条街上街坊邻里能共同交往的这么一个空间，叫花草堂。
哎，好看啊，亲一点。哎，感觉好看啊，再来一张，侧点，侧点。哎，对，把脸露出来啊。看一下我。
这样。 不种花的时候，我们没说过话，
以前没有可聊的东西。
后来他一种花呢，我们每天过来都看他那儿，
大家都比较亲密了，就跟一家人似的那种感觉。
The creation of the Hutong Flora Cottage has brought strangers together. It has also helped to restore the original communal Hutong lifestyle. A few years ago, Xie Xiaoying took this model to Africa. The opening of a Hutong Flora cottage in Addis Abeba's Friendship Square was attended by Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed.
我们花草堂的概念能让一条街上不同的居民大家能够和谐相处，能够融合，对它是有一定的启发的。
The old Hutong on the Central Axis is now a hub of international exchange. Representatives from China and Ethiopia, through their discussions about the Hutong Flora Cottage, have enhanced their mutual understanding.
中轴它就是一个融合的魅力，融合就产生了传承的文化和传统，所有的灿烂的文化都是通过融合来传承下去的。
The Tianmen area in the south of the Central Axis is traditionally a residential district for ordinary people. In the past, visitors from all over the country, whether they were students coming for exams, officials to report their achievements, or merchants to do business, would make Tianmen their first stop when they arrived in Beijing. Dashe-len is an old commercial street. It was the site of China's first movie theatre and of Beijing's first shopping mall. It blends business practices from past and present, from the West and China. It's also home to many old brands. Nei Lianxiang, which has been around for 168 years, is a shop that made luxury cloth shoes for the imperial family and nobility. But now, Ne Liansheng faces a development dilemma.
不喜欢的也有，就是觉得老字号、老品牌，觉得你的产品可能感觉比较老，颜色包括款式都不是特别多。其实我们一直也想尝试，就把我们的鞋子做一些提升。
最好是无弹，因为咱们这个工艺有一定的限制，它不像服装做一些这种 logo 啊、图案直接印在这个衣服上，它这个受限制比较小。我们这个鞋呢，这个是比较难的地方。
我理解时尚元素是把当下比较流行的材料啊、色彩呀，能够跟我们这个老字号的产品做一个融合，做一个嫁接。有时间的话，我特别喜欢来大石栏转一转，找一找灵感。我觉得可以把大鱼海棠里面这些特别有中国味道的元素提取出来，融合到我们内联升的产品当中。 把传统的款式做一个大胆的一个创新。
Big Fish and Begonia is an animated film. The challenge for the designers is to make the connection with a pair of shoes.
这个鱼的轮廓、线条都特别好看。
可能我不用一整条鱼，我用一个鳍呀。
咱们其实，在设计的同时，还要考虑到一个问题，就是咱们设计的鞋怎么能让更多年轻人能够去喜欢，能够去接受。因为你也是年轻人嘛，所以咱们就一块儿探讨一下这问题。
咱们选一些比较干净、颜色比较纯一些，然后色彩亮度比较亮的一些颜色是最好的。
大鱼海棠样品的这个鞋帮已经出来了。做这个鞋的难度呢，在于这个花儿。做的时候呢，我是这样反着做的，反着做是看不见的，就要注意这个一双鞋花的位置一定要保持是一致，这个是着重注意一下的这个地方。
Even with the innovations, Ne Liansheng's cloth shoes are still handcrafted using traditional skills. Strict standards are observed for each process.
针码呢，每40毫米呢是3针半到4针左右，保证一个结实的程度。这是长久以来总结出来的这么一个数字。我们和这个大鱼海棠这个 IP 的结合，等于算是做了一个这个 IP 的一个周边。 给我们打开了一个新的思路。这2双是我们新做的样品。
我觉得这个大鱼简笔还挺好的，就大家一看应该都能识别出来。对，
这2个颜色，年轻人可能都会挺喜欢的。
对。
我觉得是一个新的思路吧，一个新的尝试。 我们以后多做一些这方面的合作，更多吸取这种融合的经验，让这更多的年轻人来接受我们，来拥抱我们。
Inheritance and development are concepts that have always been associated with cities. Urban Beijing, with the Central Axis as the core, has retained its original spatial pattern. At the same time, the axis has been the spine supporting the city's development.
那就是这样的一个不断的变化当中，最后形成了我们今天的这样的一个城市面貌，有古老的，有现代，包括我们今天的天安门广场，包括我们今天的人民英雄纪念碑、人大会堂，又构成了一个新的中心在中轴线上。
Gilbert van Kirchhofer comes from Belgium. During 40 years in Beijing, he has witnessed the city's rapid development.
The first time you come to Beijing, Tiananmen and Gugong is very impressive. I would say Tiananmen is the Central Axis. It's like the most important point of the whole Central Axis.
The Central Axis in Beijing, as a matter of fact, many foreigners are not very familiar.
This week I was discussing with other foreigners and I said, Central Axis. They said, Central Axis, what is east-west? I say, no. Central Axis is north-south.
Gilbert thinks he can help the world learn more about Beijing.
We must together fight to have the good communication and to avoid misunderstanding. President Xi Jinping has stated he wants to make China international, open the country.
Gilbert has spent most of his life in Beijing. He has experienced every big moment in the city's recent history. Prior to Beijing hosting the 2008 Summer Olympics, he was involved in many of the preparations.
I also took several Beijing delegations I took to Europe to investigate how, urban planning was done, how the Olympics were being planned, like in Spain and in Greece and in France and in Germany. So it's not really urban planning. I just help to introduce and let specialists talk with each other.
In addition to the Beijing Olympics, he has worked in such areas as talent exchange, business and urban development. His efforts to build bridges between China and the West was recognized when the Chinese government granted him the Friendship Award.
So many things. This was also with the decoration. This is the committee for the preparation of the 5-year plan. So that time I'm the only one involved in it.
Chang'an is on this direction.
En dan heb ik in feite een vraag, dus je moet hem stoppen.
Gilbert regularly acts as an advisor on Beijing's urban planning projects.
Obviously to maintain food and water in the imperial city.
John van der Water is an architect. He's currently working on the renovation of the historic Lumi warehouse, a former granary in the Ming and Qing dynasties.
I think the beauty of this place is we got here a 600-year-old building, long history, from Ming Dynasty all the way till now.
So 600 years.
Almost 600 years.
Don't forget to come to the old China.
Gilbert believes that John needs to know more about Beijing's past and future.
Is it originally...
But it's also possible for him to link it with Western thinking and Chinese thinking. So it's very precious, the amount of experience he has and the way he can translate that into concrete ideas, but also in his idea about what can work and what may not work.
As an expert on Beijing's development, Gilbert has a clear idea of what he hopes the city will look like in the future. He is impressed by John's proposals.
So if we go over the axis all the way to the south in Daxing, there's exactly on the axis is this building, the Rose Museum. So it's if you go further away, you go to Daxing Airport.
So I'm very impressed, John, with your Rose Museum, because first of all, it's a fantastic building. For me, it's really an image of Chinese culture. It immediately reminds me of paper cut. And then when you look at the north-south axis, this one is in the complete south part. And what do we have in the north part? We have a big park. We have the Olympic Park, which is like Central Park in New York.
So this is, obviously this is the whole north-south axis, going from Gugong to up north to the Olympic Green, going to south to the Daxing Airport.
The Central Axis continues to play a key role in Beijing's development. More than simply a physical relic of the past, it's still relevant today as a basis for drawing up plans and as living heritage that continues to influence the city's development.
Actually, what many people don't look at, but you look at Beijing, it's just all rectangles, right? And the Central Axis cuts through it. It's actually the Chinese side for Zhong. So everything is concentrated here on this axis.
It's a spatial concept, this axis, which is growing. And the beauty of this axis is that it connects not only history, so this is really like, for me, it's like one of the core spaces of the way Beijing grew, and Beijing can grow further into the future.
Time passes, but the priceless cultural legacy represented by the Central Axis remains. With the changing of the seasons, and from one year to the next, the Central Axis has negotiated the ups and downs of history, ultimately revealing to the world a city that is rich in diversity. With its enduring vitality, the Central Axis has integrated different people, different periods, and different cultures, allowing them to embrace one another and develop together. Beijing, this ancient city, is a window showcasing to the world the enduring vitality of Chinese civilization.
我就是觉得生活平淡，想找点刺激。玩到最后，你才发现，探洞给了我更多的生活。我觉得可以这样说。
Before she got into caving, Liu Jia used to work a typical 9-to-5 desk job in the city.
我是财务工作，每天就觉得很无聊，你会觉得在那里是浪费时间。04年的元旦节，在一次朋友聚会，他们就叫我去尝试一下探洞。完了以后才觉得，它就像一个无底洞一样，就是你学无止境。
In Liu Jia's hometown of Chongqing, a dense network of air raid shelters beneath the city provided the perfect playground for her and her friends growing up.
是我们这个年代的吧，重庆的孩子可以说是没有人小时候没钻过洞，全是钻的防空洞。我记得有一次有一个防空洞，我们当时手拉手在里面走了好久，看见一个墓碑，当时全部人都被吓到了，几个人赶快就朝着一个方向跑。 裤子什么的就被那些树枝啊割破了，那是我记忆最深刻的一次探险。
During her 17-year career as a professional caver, Liu Jia has explored over 1,000 caves around the world. Her hobby has also given her the opportunity to do some good along the way. In the arid karst regions of China, she has helped local villagers search for precious groundwater and has helped retrieve the remains of Red Army soldiers from deep within the mountains.
我探洞，我遇到过很多的朋友，一开始来探洞的原因就是北上广或者是香港，生活压力很大，而且各方面的人际关系很紧张。 其中有一个人，他认为是探洞治好了他的抑郁症。
Wangjiangkang is located in Chongqing's Fuling district. Its latest confirmed depth makes it the second deepest pit cave in China and the deepest independently surveyed by Chinese authorities. Over the last 3 years, Liu and her team have reached depths as far as 841 meters, and she believes it may go much deeper than that.
还行，有电。这次咱们一定要注意，因为这个洞碎石有点多，所以说大家一定要小心自己脚下，一定要注意脚下。这个落石真的不开玩笑，特别严重。
Whenever Liu sets out on a caving trip, she's always expecting to come across a new discovery. Deep canyons are typical features of karst topography, and the rivers that run through them erode the soft rock into vast cave systems, while humans continue to make incredible discoveries through space exploration. There is still plenty that is unknown about what lies underneath our own feet. We haven't yet explored 65% of Earth's surface area and have only explored just 5% of the oceans. Similarly, only about 5% of the world's caves have been explored.
你给我。谢谢。这个太重，哎呀，走起来哟！太香。
我们一共带了1000米绳子，6天的食物，还有睡袋、防潮垫，这些加在一起的话，负重量是非常非常的大。
Since the team's gear weighs nearly 200 kilograms, 4 local porters will help them carry it into the cave entrance. For the next 6 days, they'll be completely on their own. Hundreds of years of erosive forces have caused the rock to dissolve and collapse, creating a gaping abyss in the earth. In summer, water from the surrounding areas feeds into the pit, making the fragile rock walls even more prone to sudden rockfalls. Therefore, exploration can only be done in winter. Liu needs to have absolute trust in every one of her team members.
是在讲阿龙呼叫，做回答。好像听到，罗燕听到。
罗燕她的技术很不错，就是可以跟我轮流先锋。阿龙的配合度非常非常的高，然后他可以作为副先锋去协助我们。秦勇他有很好的体力，做后勤背负应该是一把好手。哎，还可以效果。
哎，好了啊。
这洞很重的，
小平台上面会有很多碎石头，然后上面有一层落叶，你们的脚踩到石头可能还会有感觉，但是你们的包拖到石头的话，石头就下去了。那个小平台上肯定有碎石，这个高度一定要控制落石，太危险了。万丈坑确实来过很多次了，但是每次面对下面的万丈悬崖的时候， 还是有点腿软。
Liu has narrowly escaped death in this cave on several occasions.
在第4次探测的时候，在600米深度的地方，我上方有一个队友，他踩掉了一块石头，幸好他叫了一声，所以我当时就赶紧往那个岩壁上靠，石头才砸到我的肩膀。如果我没拉的话，直接砸到我的头了。 那个高度头盔完全没有，当时我已经手抬不起来了，我要带着伤在里面待8天。
小心石头！
罗燕，下面什么情况？
我
驶，应该是没有问题。over。
安全第一，小心点。
好的，我现在在附近啊，over。
很多时候，队员和队员之间都是在一根绳子上，长达10几个小时，互相之间见不了面。那个时候，你就要学会独立去面对很多的东西，寒冷、黑暗、饥饿、恐惧。
小偷，可以下降 ，over。
包太多了。
你背了几个包下来？2
个。
好了，我已经安全的到达下面 ，over。
After an almost 8-hour descent, Liu and her team make it to the first camp, 350 meters below the surface.
你看，这是什么？
那个不到1年的瘤，1年的瘤。
可能是小瘤也不一定。
小瘤是吧？
小瘤。
Without the ability to see the cycle of night and day, time appears to stand still. Sitting in almost dead silence, it's as if the crew is stuck between worlds. In fact, that might not be too far from the truth.
在洞里面露营睡觉的时候，能感觉得到那个洞穴里面的安全环境。那个是一个黑暗的环境，在外面都是有光的，这是最大的区别。那种低频噪音、汽车的声音，或者是人声鼎沸的声音，真的是让我非常的头疼。我是很喜欢安静的环境。以前我们是下了一个桥，一个天生桥，左边就是我们没有探过的。这次我从左边下去。
Today, Liu and her team will officially commence their survey of Wangjiangkang Cave. It's the moment they've all been waiting for.
别过了。
OK， 我下来，等一下。这次呢，其实主要目的就是探这个支洞。841米应该不是最深处，我觉得有可能更深。
慢一点啊，这个地方有点小。我下着那个草原先把东西先递过来。
走。
距离8.8，高度28.9。
探洞就像你回到了一个熟悉的地方一样，都是一个释放压力的过程。你要融入在里面，把握好眼前的快乐就行了。这也是通道，很快就通了，就一个桥，确实就一个桥而已。
哦，现在下面有一个那个天之桥。
对，这边和我们前的线路是一样的。
They soon discover that the branch they were attempting to explore reconnects with the main shaft, dashing their hopes of finding a new section of the cave.
哎呀，辛苦了，小聪。
哎，大家辛苦，大家辛苦。
While disappointed, Liu is not upset. For her, this is the charm of caving, for every undiscovered passage has the potential to reveal any number of possibilities. It is the very essence of exploration.
以后几年我们还会再来。
Back in the city, Liu leads a minimalistic life.
过去了。回来之后，我基本上我很少出去，因为我出去我不知道干什么，我又不喜欢逛街。想做饭的时候就做饭，不做饭的时候叫外卖。我觉得这样就很简单了呀。要不要？他叫白板，11年了。当时还带他探洞，把它装在包里面，然后下了一个40米的竖井，探洞狗，不能再吃了。他知道我要出门，他就在那个装备跟前守着，出去最长的时间1个月，然后就把它放到我妈那里。
是吧？你天天就这么挂在绳子上，你说谁娶你？
老夫不开题了。
It's not the first time Liu has been the butt of her teammates' jokes. However, she would be the first to admit that she has sacrificed a typical life to follow her passion. And as any explorer would tell you, how could you ever discover something new if you're always doing the same as everyone else?
Come to Cambodia and discover an Oriental civilization deep in the jungle. Sacred Buddhist sites along the Mekong River, exotic customs, and down-to-earth locals. People living in harmony with nature. Join us for a journey into exotic Southeast Asia in glamorous Cambodia.
Scenery that will take your breath away. China as you've never seen it before. From up above, this is Aerial China Season 4.
Around the world race. Across 4 oceans. A 9-month battle with the wind and waves. All for a taste of glory. A test of skill. A test of endurance. But for the crew of the Dongfeng, that's what life is all about. Stretching the limits. Find out more in Season 4. Years in the making. A panoramic view of the natural world in China. In all its diversity. This is Wild Wonders.
In Zhanjiang, Guangdong Province, diving is a way of life. Children start training at an early age. It is a life of tears and sweat that can be rewarding as well as cruel. Join us in Diving Kids to hear their stories of sacrifice and growth.
He studied his whole life from the pioneers of learning to acquire knowledge. His accomplishments not only became a flowing source of Confucianism, but also a beacon for coming generations of Chinese. Discover the truth behind the legend of the philosopher. Meet the Master Confucian, Zhou Si.
一石、二秀、三文谱、四史文、五烟囱。烟囱生物质就是金木水火土，我家的属于火派的。
The Wang family genealogy covers thousands of people over 28 generations. Wang Ru Jia is part of the 22nd generation.
我的爷爷叫秀荣，我的父亲是弟兄4个，我叫汝介，已经到78岁了。我的学生叫佩英，他今年2岁了。
This is the Wang family's ancestral mansion, also known as the Wang family compound. This compound was built over the course of 300 years and combines architectural elements of the Ming and Qing dynasties. In the middle of the 19th century, Its grand courtyards once covered 250,000 square meters, 1.6 times of the size of the